Hello, Carlos. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us. How's everything going on your side?
Hi, Rafael. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you to Ocasio to invite me to this opportunity.
Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you for being here. For everyone watching here, we have Carlos Rodriguez representing Peru, a country I know very well. I really like Peru and I go there a lot. So it's great to have you joining us. And for people watching us, the idea of this conversation is to invite international experts in business in different markets around the world to talk about the cultural and communication aspects of doing business in their countries. So, as we've done with the other interviews, we have 7 questions, and we will begin now. Carlos, thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit more about you and what kind of work that you do, please.
Fine, Rafael. Thank you again. I am expert, I hope so, in innovation and entrepreneurship. I'm currently director of the Innovation Entrepreneurship Center, HAPUDEP, is in the University of Piura, my university. Also, I am professor of business innovation. I teach open innovation in our business school and in undergraduate faculty of economic and business in UDEP. And finally, I am the director of the PAT, Angel Investment Network. Is an angel investment network in my center.
That's great. That's really interesting. And I know, because I know you a little bit already from past work projects working together. I know you've traveled a lot. You've participated in international projects. You receive international missions, right? Is that's something that you also are involved in?
Yeah, and I received a fellow in innovation programs in Israel, in US and Republic of Korea, and the last year was in Japan for thank you to JICA. Yeah, fortunately, thanks to God, I travel a little bit around the world, so I'm really grateful for it.
That's fantastic. That's great. And that's why it's great to have you here because you have this international perspective. So thank you. For the second question, what are some things you recommend people to do or to say when they first meet or speak with a person in Peru and who they might be interested in doing a business opportunity or a project together? And also, what should they say, not do and not say when they first come to Peru and they meet a potential partner or client, for example?
Yeah, thank you. This is a really interesting question because when you travel a lot, as you are perceiving different cultures, different perspective. But for me, in my case, always works. For example, smile, no, smiling all the time. No, the smile works in every part of the world, and open and work communication style, transparent, using the body language. In Peru, sometimes we using the body language during the communication. But if I want to mention some tips about that, for example, show respect in hierarchy. Don't assume that punctuality is strictly followed. Sometimes in Peru, they don't follow the punctuality, but in my case, or in my opinion, is a show a respect about this. No, so punctuality, of course, is in my top three. And engage in a small talk. I mean, Peruvians value personal relationships in business, and of course, general topics such as a culture, food. In Peru, we love food, and history always work. And finally, my best advice is understand the previous situation. No, it's like you have empathy in the other side, research or read to understand the other side, and if you know a little bit before of the other side, always is more convenient because you can manage much better the communication and the interview with the other side. No.
Yes, thank you. And very true. First of all, the food is very famous, the gastronomy. So
You know.
definitely you can talk about that and you can connect over that for sure. And something and I see this from my own experience going to Peru a lot, is a small talk. You want to build a relationship, the trust. So what you said is very important. Perfect, thank you. And also, but just a quick question about what should they not do? What should you avoid when you meet a Peruvian, for example, in a business environment? When you first meet them, what should you avoid saying or doing?
Yeah, I think it's some commonly in different part of the world, but it's talking about politics. You know, sometimes in South America we have a lot of problem with the corruption. So if you are having a first impression to somebody, much better don't start with this kind of sometimes religions because different cultures, different people have different religion. And I try to avoid this in the beginning. Maybe if you have more confidence with somebody, you can talk about that. But if you want to enjoy the moment, much better talking in different general topics, no? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, very, very good points. Very, very important for people to take note. Thank you, Carlos. Also, the third question then, we recognize that it's important to have a deeper cultural understanding of a local place when doing business. So, what cultural aspects might be considered when doing business in Peru? Some things that people have to take into account when they're thinking of doing business in Peru.
Yeah. If put in context, we have a huge informal market here. Maybe 98% of the business companies are small medium enterprises, so small ones. But the problem is one part of them are informal markets. So it's working much better. The personal relationships are key. No, I mean trust and words of mouth are essential here. So the trust and networking play a significant role in decision making, and because it's more confident people with somebody recommend this kind of business. So you need to work a lot in this kind of networking around there, and it's different, no? Because it's a different market, and some we have just some companies that the bigger ones is different channels and different ways to communicate to them, no?
Yes, perfect, Carlos. It's very clear what you said. The relationship building, this word of mouth connections is very important. So as a foreigner coming in, it's important to identify with your clients or partners how to reach out and how to connect with people because that's the culturally appropriate way of doing business, easier way of doing business in Peru. So very, very clear. Thanks for pointing that out. The fourth question, if someone arrives into Peru, they do not speak Spanish, what do you suggest a foreigner do to be able to communicate more successfully with locals in Peru so that they can do business if they don't speak any Spanish? How do you do business in Peru?
Yeah, in my opinion, I recommend always try to learn some words in the language that you are doing the business. No? When I try to do business, for example, with Asian countries, and we don't know or was impossible to communicate in English, was too different, too difficult, and I don't recommend sometimes using translators, no, or the intermediate communication. You lose a lot. So sometimes it's much better to find somebody in the country or in the company who knows the same language. In my opinion, you want to see the face, you want to touch, to breathe the same air, to keep in contact eyes is so important. If you want to, I mean, to face communication, always work for me the presential mode. Sometimes I prefer travel to the place or asking or request for coming to my city because the personal connection is really, really important. In other hand, if you want to communicate to generate the meeting or sometimes writing an email, I use always, for example, artificial intelligence tools. ChatGPT is perfectly now. No, I remember the last day I was doing a proposal to the APEC. I was talking with people to Russia and to Taiwan, and you want to use a formal way to communicate if you are writing in English. So I used ChatGPT and was perfect, and you gain time is now really valuable. So it depends of the context, but finally the face-to-face communication always works to me and is more convenient. So finally you want to learn something about the other country, it's much better using the same language or try to do your best effort to communicate.
That's very interesting what you said. There's the importance of personal contact, which is very strong in Peru and mostly of Latin America as well. So that's still very important in Peru. It's very important, this connection, and learning a few words in Spanish is recommended. But now we have the virtual world, and from your own experience, the ChatGPT and other AI tools can help to communicate, to connect with people. So that's really interesting. It's a good recommendation.
And I just want to aggregate
Yes.
something. I think when develop the virtual reality, I mean the metaverse tools, maybe the kind of way of connections and the interactions with the people changed because when you use metaverse, it's really immersive, really immersive. You don't distinct the reality and the real things. So maybe this will be a good point of inflation in communication because you feel like it's real, the emotion and the situation. So maybe this is a point that is happens in the next years.
Yes, could be definitely. But I want to stress your first point that nothing replaces the person to person, which is really
Yeah,
important.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. I love it.
Yeah, it's very no, but we can't be left behind. We have to understand how to incorporate the new technology in our day to day as well. So that's important as well. So for the fifth question, to get better results in visibility or sales, what are your recommendations on the most effective ways to do marketing for products or services in Peru? It's more of how the channels, how do a company come in? What's the best way for them to reach to their customers, communicate with their potential clients?
Yeah, and it's a good question. As a lover of design thinking, I teach this course in my university. Always, I recommend to know really good your customer, your place. It's different reality. Peru is a country, a multicultural country. We have landscape, we have jungle, we have the north side. It's different places around there. So different rights channels to connect. Some places you don't use internet, so you need to connect with traditional ways. No, with sometimes with the local radio is working in this area because unfortunately it's a poor area. But if you want to communicate in the principal cities as Arequipa, La Libertad, Piura, Lima, it's really important to be expert in social and digital networks. For example, LinkedIn is perfectly to do a business. Sometimes the new generation use Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. So it's a mix to connect with different audience, different publics, but important to have the knowledge to how use this platform. Sometimes people confuse using LinkedIn as a Facebook. They put the picture of your family or your friends. Is so bad. So one recommendation is just not detect the right channels to reach different audience and target groups. The other thing is each platform requires different approach. So you need to be expert or have recommendation on how to use this social media in a properly way. This is so important.
No, that's a great answer. Very clear, very clear. Understand your segment, understand what the best channels are, and also be prepared. Not because you have an Instagram account, it means you're gonna sell. So
Right.
understand how to use these tools. Very clear. But it's good to know. The idea of this question was to know what are the platforms used in Peru, and I think you explained it very well. Depending on what the business is, but there's all the platforms that you mentioned, which is good. Thank you. The sixth question is really focused on generating empathy, connecting with the local Peruvian client, Peruvian partner. So if a business partner in Peru wants to get to know you better and invites you to a local coffee, tea place, restaurant, or a virtual happy hour, what are the kind of topics people in Peru like to talk about that's not business related? So you're drinking a beer or an Inca Cola, a local drink there, what do you talk about in Peru?
Yeah, this is a nice question because in Peru always works the connection with different topics as you mentioned. No, for example, uh, 3 weeks ago we have somebody we invite from Chile, the director of the UDD, one of the best startup accelerator in Santiago de Chile, and what's funny because I just was seeing how was the discussion in the lunch, and all the topic that we talk in the lunch was the Peruvian food. So Peruvian gastronomy, food is a source of national pride in my country, and Rafael. So we trying to talk about you try or about ceviche, lomo saltado, anticuchos. We love talk about the ingredients and recommendation of restaurants. So it's a passion. I don't know why. I don't know why the people in Peru love the talk about Peruvian gastronomy, but it's important topic. Of course, soccer, but we are not so good as a Brazilians, so all the time losing. But we love soccer and sport, and of course, history and culture is important because Peruvian value their history, the ancestors, Inca civilization, Machu Picchu is a pride in our country. So the key is show genuine interesting in Peruvian culture and tradition, and it's important to open the doors of the a good communication with other partners.
Perfect, Carlos. Very, very clear, very good answers. And I speak from my own experience. I've been to Peru many times. These are a lot of the topics people do talk about, especially a Brazilian going there or a foreigner. The gastronomy is very famous. It's fantastic, the food in Peru. The tourism, I mean, Peru is a beautiful, beautiful country. Lots of places to visit. So the culture is very strong. And soccer, we love soccer as well. So we do talk a lot about. So yeah, exactly what you mentioned is what I've experienced when I go to Peru. So thank you for that.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Yes, I was thinking in the last minutes about but if you ask me about what kind of things works in every context, in my opinion, I mean in Europe, in US, Israel, etc., is I follow to Frances Frey. She is writing just about books about collaboration and trust, generate trust, and she says always, no. Collaboration, the principal ingredient is trust. How you create trust? And you create trust to be authentic, empathy, and solid thinking logic. No, so it's really interesting because when you put this in practice, works in every part, no, to be real confident and you be authentic, empathy with the other people, and this generate trust, and trust generate collaboration. So for me, it's the perfect formula, and always I want to use in different contexts, not just in my country.
Perfect. No, very, very well said. I agree with you 100%. I agree with her, the author, because trust. People do business with people, and so people they need to trust each other to do business. So
Exactly.
exactly, and empathy is exactly what you said. The answer you said. I mean, you generate empathy, small talk, and that's what we're human beings. We like to connect to people. So that's very clear.
Right.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Carlos. Coming to the last question now.
Yeah.
What one word or a phrase, perhaps, should everyone learn to say in Spanish in the context of Peru, and why? Why should they learn this word or phrase?
Yeah, I have some words, but the principal I will say in the final part. But the most using words I think is chévere. It's like a cool, no? Chévere. A lot of people in Peru use this express to approve in enthusiasm, no, or be happy. Salud is cheers, no. Is in different contexts. Doesn't matter if it's alcohol or non-alcohol. We always say cheers, salud in Spanish. ¿Qué tal? ¿No? ¿Qué tal is like how is going? How is going is ¿qué tal? ¿No? ¿Qué tal is a really commonly here. But the principle for me is thank you. Peruvians always use when you are doing something, the other part say thank you or thank you so much. No, so it's really commonly we appreciate this shows politeness and respect, and useful in every context. So don't forget this word. We love it. No?
What is thank you? You didn't say the word.
Yeah. Thank you. Gracias. Gracias.
Gracias. No, very important.
Gracias.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think gracias, thank you in a lot of countries, and especially in Peru, you said it shows appreciation, shows a respect that
Or muchas gracias. It's
muchas gracias.
common.
Perfect.
Gracias or muchas gracias. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm gonna write all those words down in the summary that we're doing of the interview. So I appreciate that. Yeah, chévere is a very chévere word. It's a very cool word.
Yeah.
To know as well. It's you can connect locally with the people, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So perfect. No, this comes to the end. I really, really appreciate. Muchas gracias, Carlos, for being part of this project. Thank you for sharing your insights, recommendations, experiences. I hope this can benefit you. People can reach out to you to learn more about your work as well. I think it's interesting. You have any final words, any final recommendations before we end?
Thank you, or muchas gracias to invite me. I really enjoyed the interview, and thank you to having me. Yeah, next time maybe we'll be in presential mode, no? So I hope to see you again in Peru, Rafael. And yeah, thank you so much.
I appreciate it. No, I want to go many more times. I invite everybody to go. I think Peru is a fantastic place to visit. I go there a lot, so I invite everybody. And thank you for your time. Muchas gracias. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael.
Ciao.